again, race fans, and welcome. It's season 14, race number 5 of 12. Very special presentation here on VirtualRacing.Network. We're going to be doing 127 laps for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, thanks to racer Richard Kelbaugh, who helped to make this possible. Of course, this race and all races for the US IndyCar League going to be presented by Stick Quick. And we are at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So much talk going on in the press right now. So much hype around the world about Formula One returning to Las Vegas. Well, guess what? IndyCar's been here many, many times in the past, and we're back here, virtually at least, with the US IndyCar League once again. So great to have you. Of course, my name is Trevor Greenfield. I've been with you since season 10. Be with you all the way through season 14, and of course you can catch up with us over on Twitter, Virtual Racing, and we're gonna take it down trackside and see if we can catch some of these drivers as they head out there for their very first qualifying lap, as it does happen quite quickly here in the US IndyCar League. So as they head down there, let's go ahead and take a look at who's made it out there on track. We've got a full field of cars for you tonight. 18 showing up to the grid, and we will see whether they all actually make it to the grid and whether they'll all put in a qualifying time. Here's Mauro Ramirez. He got a podium position for the first time in the league last week, and going to be looking to try to extend that streak. Mauro getting better and better finishes each week and seeming to add to that points total in the championship. And so as he puts in his first lap, it's good enough for 25:20. Of course, the fastest driver, but actually not shown yet as a lap in the books on your timing pylon there on the left-hand side. Here's Howard Livingston, who won at this track not long ago, just a couple of seasons ago. Howard Livingston taking victory here in Las Vegas in the US IndyCar League. And I thought that would continue each and every race, but it has not been so. So Howard, though, showing he knows the fast way around here so far, fastest on track. Mauro Ramirez just finishing his second lap, not faster than Howard, but good enough for second. Jason Lowe, he's scraping back into the championship fight. He's now in third place, drops back to fourth as the man of the moment, the man who's bringing the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to our awareness. And we'll get a chance to talk lots more about Tunnel to Towers here in the course of the broadcast. But Richard Kelbaugh with second fastest thus far. What an amazing qualifying performance from him. Now, take a look a little bit further back. This is Iñigo Mardones, who's returned to the fold here in US IndyCar League. Mardones and Manuel Gomez Esteban are two resident Spanish drivers in the field, taking a few weeks off. I know both of them having different issues, but it's great to see them both back. So we'll look forward to having them in the field today. And Mardones continuing around here, racing for Neki Racing Team. Proud Spanish team operating and in a lot of different areas of IndyCar, iRacing, and different leagues. Obviously also in official racing as well. And you go just putting in his second lap here. We'll keep an eye on that one. He did set... I'm going to go back to that because he did set the fastest sector one time. So, not sure if he puts in a faster lap here. Indeed, he does. Iñigo Mardones straight to the top. Right there, you can see that purple lap. 24.670 for the Spanish driver. And I thought that was a little funny. I was ready to switch off and go over to this guy who you probably haven't heard of yet. His name is Graham Bunyan, but I tell you what, I was ready to switch over to him thinking that he might be our pole sitter today, and now he's got a uphill battle to try to get up there. Will he be able, as he goes down onto the apron, comes across the start-finish stripe, will he go to the top and take that pole position? And of course he does. No man knows speed in these IR-18 IndyCars, quite like our Australian champion Graham Bunyan, who takes pole. And Joe Bricky also coming to a rest there on the backstretch. And so that probably is going to do it for him. I'm going to guess he's not going to get that one up and running again there. But Graham taking fastest sector 1 time and a personal best sector 2 times, setting a 26.64 for your provisional pole position thus far. Now we have Dominic Hart. I don't see a note, so I don't think he crashed, but he was only able to get in 1 lap, and that put him last. It's interesting because Hart has shown a lot of speed and taken pole position here, or excuse me, taking a victory here in the US IndyCar League previously. So we will look to see. Maybe he'll have something from the back. I have to be honest with you, qualifying here is not as important as one might think. There's so much drafting to do. But of course, all of this in honor of the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. And of course, as I mentioned, we will get much more chance to talk about what they are and what they do. T2T.org, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. So while the drivers are lining up out there, it's probably a good time for us to go ahead and take a look at those points as they stand. And for those of you who have been watching and paying attention, yes, indeed, it has been the Graham Bunyan and David Strid show, as you see reflected in the points. However, it is just a 32-point gap between them, and so theoretically anything can happen here as we get into this season a little bit deeper. But you see a couple of climbers there. Strid getting back over the top of Jason Lowe, and Howard Livingston now in 4th, and Ensch climbing 2 spots. A couple of drivers not returning, of course, as I mentioned, Manuel Gomez-Esteban, Iñigo Mardones out for a couple of weeks, so they've dropped off of the points. And so now we settle in for this long haul. Keep an eye on those bonus points as well, as, of course, those will matter a ton as we go forward. So let's go ahead now and let's take a look at our starting order for today's action. So many cameras to choose from. Here we go on screen. We've got Graham Bunyan going to be starting alongside Iñigo Mardones. For the first time I've gotten a chance to call Mardones there on the front row, and that's a great thing for the league. Howard Livingston going to be starting on the second row alongside Jeff Murray, who makes a great return. Fast time. Richard Kelbaugh set a blistering time there in qualifying. He'll be alongside of Mauro Ramirez for Black Tiger Racing. James Kennedy making a return to this series, which is also excellent news, as is Rick Lovison, who's back in a regular full-timer. Great to see him. Got Jason Lowe in that all-chrome machine. Don't be mistaken, he may be starting in mid-pack, but he'll be next to Fahim Rahman, and both of these drivers can come forward in a hurry. Will Dan Ensch be saving endless fuel today? That is a good question. We'll find out soon enough. Will Stearns also going to be starting around mid-pack next to him. Joe Bricky and Dominic Hart going to be starting a little bit further back. Mike West, David Strid not getting times in, so they're going to be starting at the back. Once again, don't be fooled by that. And great to have our good friend Manuel Gomez-Esteban back in the field. He will be starting last, as I don't feel that that Danny Alt will take the start once again. But as we get that off the screen and get ready, it's Graham Bunyan who leads us down to the green flag, and we are underway for 190 miles, 127 laps around Las Vegas Motor Speedway. There we take a look out the back end. There's Jeff Murray already around. I think there was contact on that one. He's sliding on the back stretch. He'll try to get that car righted. And indeed, unfortunate turn of events for Murray. It just seemed like there was nothing he could do. We're going to try to go back to the green flag here and see if we can figure out exactly what took place as Murray came through the corner. We'll look at the blimp shot overhead. There's Murray just outside of Richard Kelbaugh on the bottom, and just behind the Necky Racing driver of Iñigo Mardones. And I think it just looks like Murray got a little too close there to the backside of Mardones and perhaps either caught some net code, and that caused a momentary collision, and that caused him off to go off track and offline. But either way, unfortunate circumstance there for Murray, and he'll try to recover on pit road. In the meantime, action is hot and heavy at the front of this one. It's Graham Bunyan, who has led from pole. He's going to try to take some of those bonus points. He's already gotten one for getting that pole position. He's gotten one now for leading a lap, and he's going to try to get that bonus point for leading the most laps. But I tell you what, he's got a mirror full of the number 13 car, who's won here before, and last night he was probably up late dealing with some thunderstorms in his local region in Florida. So he might have a little bit of a bit between his teeth. He wants that crown back for Las Vegas. It is Howard Livingston all over the back of Graham Bunyan, and they kind of sit nose to tail, as we expect to see a lot of this during the race. But will someone be able to save more fuel than the leader and be able to overtake in the pits? Will this be a green flag affair? So far, we've even had a car going off, but it did not bring out a yellow flag, so any one of those eventualities is a possibility. That's why we go out there and race, is you try to do your best as one of these racers to predict, but I tell you what, you never can. Here we go. In the middle of this pack, we've got some more shaking up going on. This is Iñigo Mardones, who's fallen back. He's now alongside of Richard Kelbaugh. Mardones dropping back 5 spots now since his start. And it looks like he and Kelbaugh will go side by side through 4. Up in the front, though, we just missed it. It was Howard Livingston who slid right around Graham Bunyan. This was just a moment ago. On the backstretch, headed into turn 3, Livingston deciding he's had enough of just riding around behind. He wants a taste of that lead. He's going to get a bonus point for leading. And now we'll jump back to the live picture where it is still Howard Livingston in control. Graham Bunyan in second, James Kennedy up to third. As I mentioned, it doesn't matter too much about where you have qualified, because here's Kennedy right up from his 8th place starting position up to third. So I don't even know why we bother to qualify, but nonetheless we do. Kennedy in third, Mauro Ramirez up 2 spots into 4th. All these drivers trying to figure out what is going to happen 116 laps from right now. And just doing their best to dot their I's and cross their T's. But let me tell you, at the end of this one, those pencils may be worn down. Paper's dirty, and you got to take what you can get. So welcome to those of you who are joining us over on YouTube. So great to have you with you, or so great to have you with us. I apologize for tripping over my own tongue, but Iñigo Mardones is actually writing us over in YouTube that today is his day. He says this is his day. Man, he was fast in qualifying. We're going to see if some of that one lap pace can kind of equal out here in the long run, but they are side by side mid-pack for position. You know what we haven't seen much of is we haven't been able to ride on board with much of these drivers, so let's go ahead and do that. Here's Richard Kelbaugh racing for Team Stick Quick. Of course, he started up there with a pole position, but then a couple of other drivers able to eclipse him, started up in 5th today and dropped back to 7th right now. But this is sort of a hallmark of Richard. He likes to ride right in the middle of the packet there. He's kind of drifting up the track a little bit. My goodness. Had some tire scrub, maybe got a little dirty air, and he slid right up the track. I was just going to say he likes to ride right in that mid-pack, but now a caution has come out as Gomez Esteban has crashed. So as he recovers, this puts us under our first caution of the day. We're going to see if we can figure out exactly what happened with Gomez Esteban. That's just a little bit late. It looks like he's running by himself. Goes into the corner, and you know, that's a tough one because usually you don't find yourself spinning on corner entry. And so I'm wondering if maybe there was possibly damage before that, or if maybe he had the weight jacker a little bit too high, because sometimes once you get that right rear tire kind of heated up to the point where it wants to overturn you, that's what can happen. So either way, unfortunate for Gomez Esteban, but he didn't end up crashing, so he didn't end up putting it in the wall. No real harm, no foul, I suppose. And he didn't even end up losing a lap. In the meantime, we do have some drivers who have made their way onto pit road for the first time today. Here's Howard Livingston, your leader, now into the pits. Following him down there was 3rd place James Kennedy. So you can follow the pit stops on the bottom of your screen. And also Mauro Ramirez there on pit road. In fact, half of the field now really on pit road. The only ones to stay out and keep that position were Graham Bunyan, David Stritt, and Jason Lowe. So you see them marching off of pit road here. And in fact, Mauro Ramirez will slot right back out in 6th. The big winner there was Howard Livingston, who has just now come in and was able to take tires and fuel. So we're going to continue here, and we'll get a chance at our next commercial break or at our next caution to be able to discuss the Tunnel to Towers organization, the foundation, a little bit more. But I'll just introduce you a little bit and let you know right now, Tunnel to Towers Foundation is one of those special organizations, especially if you're from the United States. Of course, if you're from anywhere in the world, you understand kind of the principle of what they do. And what they do is essentially bring relief to those who are first line service members, firefighters, police officers, etc., as well as military members who have been severely injured while serving the country, the United States of America, and offer them the ability to get homes, smart homes, custom designed for them, absolutely mortgage-free, as well as take over mortgages for those who have fallen and those who are injured. A fantastic organization. Again, we're going to have some more information coming up here at our next caution. But if you want any more information, it's the domain name is right there. The website is right there in the top of your screen, tunneltotowers.org. You can also use t2t.org. Makes it easier to share. Great to have this group, and it's great to have Richard Kelbaugh bringing this awareness, of course, as he does every week. He does with Stickwick, but going the extra mile and being able to introduce this group this week. So we'll talk more about that as well as Stickwick coming up. Wanted to talk a little bit about the pit strategy, as this has kind of shaken some things up. It's not too much, as it's not too hot right now on the track. And so now we see Graham Bunyan coming in. I think this is possibly to cover. I'm just going to say, I can't, I don't know what his strategy is, but this is not a bad move from Graham Bunyan, just covering the strategy of what the others were doing, because 16 laps of difference might have made a difference depending on how the yellows fall at the end of this one. And so absolutely safest to get tires, get fuel, and put yourself in position at the end of this one to be able to, and here you can see also Mike West taking service, Dan Ensch choosing to take service. So definitely some drivers having some second thoughts here, or thinking about it a little bit more and deciding, no, we do want to jump in and cover this and make sure that we have enough fuel that we don't get caught out on a strategy. The fresh tires most likely won't make a difference here, as it is quite cool. It is nighttime here at the Speedway, as you can see, and the lights are off on the pace car, and that means that we will be going green next time by. So there we had just a momentary split that could have been pretty interesting in terms of how the strategy would have worked out. And in fact, it is still a little bit split, as David Strid and Jason Lowe have chosen to not come in, and so they lead the field back to green. Will this work out in favor of David Strid, Jason Lowe, or will it be Howard Livingston, the first of the group that has already stopped? That is the question. There you see 70 degrees on track. It's virtually 8:46 at night, July 3rd of this year, so perhaps a preview for those of you who are looking to go to Las Vegas around that time. That may be how the weather is. I doubt it. July 3rd at 8 o'clock, 70 degrees on track, 68 in the air. Just as somebody who's used to going there and having it be so hot, you feel like you're in a blast furnace. Nevertheless, back to racing here, and we've got David Strid holding off Jason Lowe just behind. And a good strategy race this is now turning out to be, as we have David Strid out in front of Jason Lowe and Howard Livingston now in third. Livingston, as I mentioned, first one to make a pit stop, and as a result, he just set his fastest sector last lap, 24:57, his own personal fast lap. So those fresh tires may be mattering. Maybe they do matter just a little. But this is a close one in the front. Just a little bit further back, it's Joe Bricky, Iñigo Mardones, and then Mauro Ramirez. Where did Graham Bunyan end up? Well, you have to look a little bit further back even. Just behind Will Stearns on the track, just in front of Manuel Gomez Esteban, it is Graham Bunyan back in 11th place. So choosing to come in as late as he did, costly. But then again, it depends. Maybe he feels like he needed that extra one little lap. I mean, I don't know how much it is, a few hundredths of a gallon. But if you're trying to fuel save and trying to make a certain number, maybe that's just a magic number. You need all the fuel you can get. There's Mauro Ramirez and Joe Bricky, teammates there battling it out for that top 5 position. Who wants to lead? Who wants to take a chance? Well, unfortunately, this driver still sitting on pit road. He had a moment not long ago. Let's see if we can pull up. Well, he's already sideways there. It's not the way that corner is supposed to go, I don't think. Indeed, nope, sideways. And once again, you know, that's right there is right after the D, the second kink of the D, and that would be once again, it's cold tires, so quite possibly that's the culprit. But more than likely, as we come back to the live picture, sorry for moving the camera around on you, and we are under caution as Fahim Rahman. We've got a couple of drivers, Mike West, Fahim Rahman, Richard Kelbaugh, no, not involved in this one. So Mike West having some difficulty there. I don't know if that's a stuck throttle or a stuck frustration issue. But either way, we're going to get a chance to do what I promised. See, I'm a man of my word. Here we go. We'll go side by side to learn about the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, which again, we thank David Zaleski. No, sorry, not David Zaleski this week. Richard Kelbaugh for bringing this to our attention. Tunnel to Towers National Run, Walk, and Climb Series honors firefighter Stephen Siller, who strapped 60 pounds of gear on his back and raced on foot through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel to the Twin Towers on September 11th, where he valiantly laid down his life to bring others to safety. Retracing Stephen's last steps is a mission of doing good, and of course they do. They have multiple programs that they run, and you see what's going on here in the stills. It's smart homes. This is a dedication, as well as a lot of these the tunnel walk that they do each and every year to bring awareness of September 11th. But the smart homes that they build are really the core program that they run here, and through the smart homes program, the Tunnel to Tower Foundation builds mortgage-free smart homes for most catastrophically injured veterans and first responders. Each home is designed to address the unique needs of each individual. Smart homes host a myriad of features, such as automated doors and lighting, wider halls and doorways, special showers to accommodate wheelchairs, automatic door openers, etc. These homes help our most severely injured veterans and first responders reclaim their day-to-day independence. There's another program, the Fallen First Responder Home Program, which aims to pay off the mortgages of fallen law enforcement officers and firefighters who lose their lives in the line of duty or 9/11 related illness, leave behind young children. Foundation's goal is to ensure stability and security for all these families facing sudden tragic loss. And the Gold Star Family Home Program, launched in September 2018, honors the legacy of those who made the ultimate sacrifice while serving our country. The foundation will provide a mortgage-free home to surviving spouses with young children of those Gold Star families. So the impact, $250 million committed to the programs. 500,000 plus people have visited yet another aspect of the program, which is they have an entire 9/11 mobile exhibit, which I think you saw. It's an entire semi that rolls out, has lots of interactive exhibits and ways to find out about what took place on September 11th and those who laid down their lives, and of course more about what the group does. 95% goes directly back into the programs of what you donate. 95%. That's one of the highest numbers that I know of any charities. So a great group that means what they say. So if that means something to you and it's worth some money, definitely head over and make your contribution today. They'll be more than happy for that. There's also 80 run walks planned for this year across all of the United States. So get involved with that. Get out there, run some laps, get some people to donate for you and the laps that you run. And in addition to that, you could even start a run walk if that meant something to you. So the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, T2T.org. Head there and find out more today. Make your contribution. And we do appreciate Richard Kelbaugh for bringing that to our attention. So we continue here under caution, and we are currently watching Jason Lowe head down pit road, as well as Graham Bunyan, Manuel Gomez Esteban just behind for Team Mazinger getting into the pits there. And Bunyan, of course, and Lowe did not take service initially last time, now coming in to top off. And I'll tell you what, if Bunyan's doing it, the rest of the drivers are definitely, their ears perk up. Their one eyebrow goes up. The sound is heard. Because you're going to be looking at the numbers that you can do in terms of fuel mileage, and you're going to be looking at how many laps it is until the end and figuring, okay, are we going to have another caution, maybe another 2 cautions? With that fuel savings that I get under caution, will I be able to make it to the end? or on one more stop. And that's always what these drivers are gambling on when they come in out of the lead to take service. In the meantime, this guy didn't decide to take service, and neither did Mauro Ramirez. Dominic Hart go in the flip opposite direction, putting it all on blackout there, if I'm being honest. Dominic Hart gambling here in Las Vegas with track position up 13 spots from where he started, and he's going to get a bonus point for leading a lap here in Las Vegas. So welcome back here in Las Vegas. This is round number 5 of the US IndyCar League's 14th season, and right now Dominic Hart is in the lead with Mauro Ramirez in second and David Strid in third. Strid now saying, I don't want to be in third, I want to be in second. Well, he's looking to get around. He's currently riding around the outside, and will he get that pass done? Side by side indeed. We jump on board with David Strid. There's kind of the view out the left front side over that Firestone Firehawk tire. You can see how close it is, as I tried to allude to before. We've seen this before at Las Vegas. As my colleague Gary Godso refers to it, it's the IRL line. Here, it's what they ran back in the old days when the IRL used to run here, and that is just keep your nose as your left front as far down there towards that white line as you can, and just ride it all the way around, make them have to pass you on the high side. In the meantime, let me draw some attention to some fast drivers. Here's somebody who's coming through the field, Rick Lovison, up a spot. He just had the fastest sector one time of the whole race. Getting some of that draft going, closing up on these leaders. He might even get a chance to set the fastest lap here. He just set his personal fastest lap just a moment ago. He's currently riding around in the 6th place. And maybe having a little connection momentary issue from Massachusetts there. Graham Bunyan, though, just behind. Tracking these leaders. It looked like it got real close just a moment ago between Will Stearns and Jason Lowe there, racing for that 8th spot. Stearns desperately holding on as he has climbed 4 spots from where he started. And it is still quite a jumbled up mess at the front of this one, as quite a few drivers trying to jockey their way around and find their way to the front. It is, however, Dominic Hart who continues to lead here and has done since that last caution where he decided not to come in. Mauro Ramirez now in second, James Kennedy in third, and our pole sitter, Graham Bunyan, having a couple of strangely timed pit stops, let's just say, have put him kind of on the back foot, but also one of the cars with the most fuel in the group. So even though he currently is sitting back here now racing Rick Lovison side by side for that 5th position, sorry, for that 6th position, soon to close up on David Strid, who is up there in 5th. He's got the most fuel of anybody there, so, and the freshest tires. So really, the question is, how far can everyone go on their current tank, and when or if we will see another caution? So the champion, the 3-time consecutive champion, Graham Bunyan, continuing to put in his fight here, as we are now 40 laps done with this one, working on 41. About a third of the way through. You can see the whole, about 10 of the cars of the field, or excuse me, 15 of the cars in the field covered by just like less than a second right now. Blanket over the top of these cars. And it's some exciting stuff for sure, but nerve-wracking nonetheless for these drivers to be so close to one another. See if we can see just how fast these drivers are headed out there. 200 26 miles an hour on Graham Bunyan's dashboard as he heads through the corner. Side by side right now, on track with Jason Lowe. That chrome machine kind of disappearing into the night, reflecting everything around it. Bunyan could turn to the left and wave. See himself there. Unfortunately, Bunyan having a moment there just a second ago and now drifting back. We saw it. He was trying to pass on Lowe and not sure. I was looking to the side. Perhaps you saw it while you were watching. But it looks like he really had some sort of an issue now, choosing to drop back. So he's going to wait back there in 10th. Although, if I'm being completely honest, it looks like he's maybe off pace. Let's watch through the corners. He's drifting back now very, very rapidly. Is there something wrong with Graham Bunyan's car? I don't think so. He's still got, seems like, the speed in the corners. So yeah, we'll have to figure this one out in a little bit. The champion suffering and dropping back, and maybe just deciding discretion the better part of valor. He's going to sit back there in good old fuel map 5, or if you're really lucky, fuel map 8. Take your foot out of the throttle and let these other drivers have a minute in the sunshine for a second, or I guess in the spotlight here under the lights in Vegas. Always great to be doing IndyCar coverage from a classic IndyCar track right here in Las Vegas. And we continue here. Got so many different things to say and do here. Didn't really plan a specific lap to do it, but I think right here, as we get to lap number 48, let's go quiet for a minute in honor of Dan Weldon, who lost his life at this track in an IndyCar race 2011. And they're a little more than a lap, nice and quiet, except for the roar of those Dallara IR-18 IndyCars out there at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And I'm sure there's one thing Dan would love to hear again. It would be that wonderful noise. And, of course, a whole different program going on for IndyCar now. Totally different aerodynamic package than they had back in those days. And, you know, and yet the danger element still exists in such a great way for these drivers on these ovals. And so as we see James Kennedy here battling David Strid, who is attempting to take third place from him, just got to keep that in mind, that only a slight issue keeps these drivers. I mean, just one tiny mistake, one tiny overcorrection, and you could be around and into the wall. And obviously, the closer that they race together is one of those moments that they all came together and unfortunately ended up in the loss of Dan Weldon's life, the Lionheart here. But these cars continuing, and virtually that is one great thing, is that we do not have to worry about the actual safety of these drivers should they get into an incident. But still kind of feels a lot the same to have your whole day taken away from you. And that's obviously why you keep your head on a swivel when you're driving these Indy cars. You're always looking in your mirrors. You're always thinking about where other drivers are and positioning yourself when you're so close to each other, as David Strid and James Kennedy are. You have to imagine that Strid and Kennedy are separated by half a world. And you see they race just inches apart. That's just one of the great things about iRacing and internet racing in 2022, that we can do this sort of a thing. But sometimes things do happen, obviously, and there is net code that sometimes creeps up and causes issues. But it's still one of those things. Doesn't matter whether you're racing somebody side by side like that, as we can see Mauro Ramirez, I think, heading down into the pits, as is Dominic Hart just in front. So our leaders choosing to come in here, making a green flag stop, and this will be so costly, as they will undoubtedly go down a lap. And in the meantime, that gives over the lead to James Kennedy, who's still in this battle with David Strid. Let's see if we can put the track map up there so we can follow along with where your favorite drivers are. You'll see their initials up there on that track map, and now that we have some drivers going on to an alternate strategy, that might be helpful to keep track. And I'm not sure how the gap times keep changing to fastest laps, but there you go. Set back to the gap time so you can tell exactly how far off all of the drivers are to the leader. There's Kennedy still in first here on lap 58. Strid is giving it a shot, and it is a yellow flag that's come out for Joe Brickey. Joe Brickey now sans front wing. So obviously something has happened here. And not long ago, well, that's not really how you want to start a replay. There's one car absolutely facing in the wrong direction. So let's back it up and see. It looks like Brickey alongside Manuel Gomez Esteban. And there Joe Brickey goes around. We're going to have to back that one up one more time and see if we can tell. So now this from Gomez Esteban's point of view. And we'll just see if he drifts up the track. I do see a little bit of contact there, possibly due to netcode. It looked like they were just inches away. We'll back that up one more time and take a look at that. And I mean, if we go to the chopper view, we can probably tell. We'll just go real slow. There you can see, it's a little hard to see on your camera, but I can see it a little closer here in my view. But there is a solid 6 inches, 5 or 6 inches, something like that, between the cars. So a little bit of netcode, unfortunately, catching these drivers out, and that's exactly what I was talking about. Now, while we were there at commercial, or excuse me, reviewing that replay, we did have Kennedy, Strid, Stearns, Bunyan, Lovison, Howard, Livingston, Jason Lowe, pretty much everybody coming into the pits there. In fact, the only one staying out, Iñigo Mardones, who last stopped on lap 29. So clearly he is going to, he'll get a point for leading a lap, but he will need to stop for fuel much earlier than the rest of these other drivers. You see Richard Kelbaugh there shown in second place virtually, but that's not where his position is on the track. He's actually several laps down due to that opening lap incident. So this is, as you can see, our third caution on the day, and just as I said it would do, it actually trapped Dominic Hart and Mauro Ramirez a lap down. Now, the fact that Mardones is not coming in here means that Hart will not get a chance to make up that position. There you see him sitting there in second, so he will not get a chance to make up that lap on this yellow. And so has to make a decision whether he's going to stay out and hold on to that track position. He'll get a chance to pass Mardones. Let's see here. Well, let's get some more graphics up there. Why not? We got a whole bunch of stuff to show you. So here's their pit stop strategy. And you can see that Hart last stopped on 55, as you saw, and Morrow on 55 as well. So those drivers will have plenty of fuel compared to Iñigo Mardones, so they'll get a solid 20 plus laps if they can stay at the front of this one. And that's kind of part of the strategy as well, is if you don't have too much fuel on board your car and you're a lighter race car, you can actually run a little bit faster than everyone else, just a little bit. And now the Necky Racing driver Iñigo Mardones deciding, after leading that lap and taking a bonus point, he's going to pull it into the pits. So this will in fact give Hart and Ramirez the chance to get that lap back. Possibly Bricky. We have to wait and see how this plays out here. Hart, and there is Ramirez heading back around, and unfortunately Bricky getting trapped back there. So Bricky will not, Joe Bricky will not get his lap back. However, as we can, the lights are out on the pace car, you can see Hart and Ramirez now nose to tail trying to catch up so desperately for that green flag start. Now slowing down a bit as the drivers are now there on the backstretch, and so they'll have a chance to catch up. Of course, this is the Las Vegas 190, the Tunnel to Towers Las Vegas 190 that you're watching here on VirtualRacing.Network. My name, of course, Trevor Greenfield, and you are now watching it about halfway through. It's been a very interesting race thus far. Quite a strategic battle, as these three cautions have fallen at very interesting times that have meant some different things for different drivers. Nevertheless, everybody kind of getting on the same sequence here. We're very, very close. And so Kennedy, Strid, and Stearns will now be your top three to restart at the front of this field. Once again, so great to have you joining us over in the YouTube chat. Feel free to say hello. Let us know you're watching. Let us know if you're rooting for somebody in particular or just enjoying IndyCar here in Las Vegas under the lights. One of those things I think most of us IndyCar oval fans wish were possible again, to get back to a lot of these great ovals. But I'll tell you what, this guy right here, James Kennedy, he's got race win here in the league. He'd love to get back up there to the top step of the podium. I'm sure that he would love to get there, but David Strid is actually fighting for a place in the championship right now at the top, and he knows he needs to get all of the points that he can possibly muster over Graham Bunyan over the course of this season if he's going to have a chance in the championship. Now, they're good friends. They go back long ways, but don't think for a second that David doesn't want to take a couple of wins and give his Australian buddy a good run for his money, as they now sit nose to tail. They'll work together, but I'd love to see it a final race where there's a championship on the line and there's nothing for them to do but race each other. So maybe we'll get that this season. Who knows? Stay tuned. But right now, look who's up there in second place. He's holding his own. It's Will Stearns. Just a few races ago, Will Stearns kind of sitting on the sidelines and wishing he was out there on the track. So great to have Stearns back in the field, and this is exactly the type of racing action and the type of competitiveness that we've seen from Stearns. Talking with some of his fellow competitors, that's exactly what they have faced when they've come up against Stearns. One day he may be struggling, the next day he could be right there at the front, and you wonder, who is this guy that hasn't won championships yet? Stearns right now in the 306 car in second place, up 10 positions from his starting spot. So once again, all those strategies really working out in his favor. And speaking of hard chargers, well, David Strid here, no slouch himself, up 12 spots from where he started. We're now working on lap 69. Nice. For David Strid and Graham Bunyan, who are in third and fourth position. But you also don't have to look very far back for another winner, not just in the US IndyCar League, but also here at Las Vegas. He'd love to get back under that spotlight in victory lane. It's Howard Livingston racing for Care Camps organization and the Coconut Castaways down in Florida. He always wants to get that car up there into the front, but tell you what, we've got a battle happening right now for second place. It's Stearns who's under attack from Strid. These drivers head around, and it's still Stearns who manages to hold that low line. Stearns and Strid on the exact same fuel strategy, so not necessarily any time gained by having a lighter car for Stearns, but it is also possible that Strid could be fuel saving at the moment as well. We never really know where these drivers are at. Do have access to a little bit more information by looking at their wheels, so we try not to divulge that information. But these drivers do have some different techniques at their disposal if they do decide they want to save fuel. Now, with the amount of cautions that we've had, that may no longer be a threat for these drivers, and they may be able to make it to the end. Usually I get fed information from Mr. Dan Ensch, and in fact, he was not able to give me that info, as I think he was more focused just on the fact that this is a D-shaped, mile-and-a-half track, and really it's kind of like one where, yes, you can fuel save, but it's almost impossible to plan for a green flag run here. Oh, and there's an incident involving Rick Lovison and several other drivers involved. We've got 4 or 5 drivers involved in this incident. I saw Lovison get turned early in that one. Mauro Ramirez, early front runner, championship contender. Jason Lowe caught up in it. Manuel Gomez, Esteban, and I'm not sure who else. Richard Kelbaugh for Team Stick Quick. And there is Mike West missing a wing as well. Jeff Murray has already parked his car, so obviously we're going to have to jump back and take a look at this one, see if we can understand what happened. Let's go ahead and take a look, maybe from Lovison's point of view. We'll step back a little bit further here, outside the car, and see if we can tell in full speed here. There's, my goodness, looks like Joe, is that Joe Bricky? No, excuse me, that was Fahim Rahman. So let's take a step back there, and maybe we can tell from the overhead camera exactly what happens. Was it Fahim? Or am I thinking it was Morrow? It could have been Morrow. It's similar looking cars. Let's, as I said, let's jump overhead. So many cameras to go through. Okay, so indeed, it's probably Mauro Ramirez here, who looks like he maybe drifts up a little bit. Indeed, it's hard to understand exactly what, like, why. If we try to watch Lovison's line coming off of the corner, he stays pretty parallel to the black line, and it does appear as though Morrow moves up a little bit, but no, Lovison does come down through the middle of the corner just a little bit. So to me, it looks like both drivers kind of, coming towards each other, perhaps not really realizing how close they were to one another side by side. And unfortunately, this melee continues here, involving several drivers. And so, well, let's jump back and we'll take a look at how it looked from Mr. Stickwick's point of view. This is, unfortunately, just getting caught up in another one. that he had nothing to do with here. There they tangle up in front, Lovison sideways, and he's just trying to keep it straight and on the track and, going back and forth between the apron and the regular track. Well, he didn't damage anything, so the Stickwick machine staying pristine through that one, but unfortunately, several drivers now on pit road receiving repairs. West taking another repair. Kelbaugh, Lovison, Fahim Rahman now into the pits. And Jason Lowe just exiting the pits. So Lowe now has lost 2 laps, I believe. No, he's shown 1 lap down. He'll possibly be able to get that lap back with another caution. But that would be if Strid and the rest decide to pit, which I'm guessing they're still going to need to. So we'll wait to find that one out. In the meantime, hey, everyone, lights aren't out on the pace car yet, so that means we've got a little bit more time to talk about our presenting sponsor, Beyond Tunnel to Towers. These guys present the US IndyCar League to you each and every week. And this is, wow, what is this? These wrenches that are just being magically held together. And what's this sorcery on the side of this refrigerator? These utensils and things being held to the side. And what's happening here? There must be some glue or some nails being used to hold all of these things in place. Why, no. In fact, it's the Stickwick. Yes, indeed, Stickwick, little silicone rings that come from these geniuses over at stickwick.com. Got to be quick about this, so forgive me, but yes, indeed, if you want to stick quick anything in your life that needs organization, needs to get stuck to something, look, there's a vape. Keep it in your car and up on your dash where it's handy. Keep anything else where it's handy on the bottom side of your car while you're working on it, on your toolbox, on your refrigerator. Let your mind run with it. They come in multiple different colors that will work for you, fit your team colors, fit your life colors, fit your wife colors, if you know what I'm talking about. Get the right colors so that everybody's happy. Some people like black, some people like red. Make everybody in your life happy. Get them a Stickwick package right now. Head over to stickwick.com for yours today. Very affordable pricing, and you can buy as many as you'd like. Please buy 5 or 10 and tell them the US IndyCar League sent you. So, unfortunately, the Team Stickwick car out of contention for today's win. But keep an eye on that car for the future, as he qualified exceptionally well today, Richard did. And it looked like he could be on pace for a top 5. Unfortunately, things just not falling his way. I'll tell you what, David Strid, though, he's in contention for a race win. No surprise there. The Australian speed demon, as he has become known here in this league. He is fast on road courses, and just any type of oval, seldom struggling to get up to speed. And you can never count him out, and that's why he's currently in second place in that championship. And I tell you what, fourth place is Graham Bunyan, his nearest competitor in the championship, who's in the lead by, I mentioned, I think 29 points. And so if Strid can manage to lead a whole bunch of laps here, he might very well take that bonus point for leading the most laps. And all those bonus points add up at the end of this one. So, I mean, really, you got to do what you can do. You can do only what you can do. If you're somebody like David Strid, who, you're up against Graham Bunyan, who's just got so much friggin' speed that it's hard to do anything to keep that guy from winning races. But when you have a chance, that's when you got to be on your game, and that's a championship caliber move. Tell you what, it's a good time right now. So we watch these drivers pilot their way around. You've got David Strid there in the lead. I believe that is Joe Bricky there in second place, who's trying to get that lap back. He's fighting so hard. And then Kennedy in third place, on the track there in third place, but he's actually in second place in the standings. Bricky, of course, as I mentioned, fighting to get that lap back, and Stearns and Bunyan then fighting for 4th place. Stearns really came out with a bit between his teeth today. He has been holding on to that position all day, right up there in that top 5. Looking like that guy that frequently does well in the Indy fixed races, and we've been looking for him to get a podium position and a lot more of those top 5s here in the US IndyCar League. He looks like he might be poised for something like that today. And now things getting a little bit more serious here, as, my goodness, there was so close to a tangle, and unfortunately another car up in the wall. I did not catch who that was. I think it was, well, we have Joe Brickey in the wall and Jason Lowe. Jason Lowe, championship contender, comes to a rest, looking for a chance to get out of this position. He is tangled with Brickey, and now he's trying to move under his own power. That car is severely damaged and almost getting hit by other cars on the track as they come through. Everyone, please watch out for this stranded car on the track. My goodness. Now he's going to try to make it into the pits, and that car is practically undrivable. I don't know if if he can even get it turned. He's probably best off to park and just let that thing tow into the pits. It won't be a long tow for him, but I've had that situation, and the last thing that you want to do is try to drive it in, because in fact, if you try to drive it in, you might go the wrong way over the line and get an unsafe pit entry, and that could even be more costly, as you would have to do a 30-second stop and hold during a green flag. But unfortunately, the 004 machine has seen better days and is going to need extensive repair. We're going to jump back here in just a second, so we can see Graham Bunyan now heading down pit lane for what is definitely his final stop of the day. And this is dangerous news for literally everybody else in the field, especially for somebody like David Stritt or James Kennedy, because right now Graham Bunyan is currently sitting in 7th place. Mauro Ramirez also getting tires. These drivers going to slot down through the field a little bit, but they'll come back out, and the reason why this is bad news for everyone else is they're going to have fresh tires and no one else will. So if there is going to be a hero that's going to be able to pull it off at the end of this one and make that pass around the outside, or somehow find a way to get that thing stuck down to the inside, maybe through the tri-oval, it's going to be one of these drivers that just stopped. In the meantime, though, Stritt, Kennedy, is Stritt going to come in? Is he just pulling down? I think he's just kind of trying to cover. I think maybe make sure that everybody else isn't coming into the pits. And will they come into the pits? Doesn't look like anybody else going to do so. Once again, you've got to cover the strategy of some of the other drivers. So, for example, you wouldn't want to leave yourself out there on old tires if that's going to be a factor here in the final running, which it most likely will be, even though the heat is not a factor. If you're on substantially older tires and you can't quite pin that car down to that white IRL line, you might be drifting up the track. And so somebody who's on freshies like Graham Bunyan, if he can get there fast enough, he might be able to put one over on David Stritt. So like I said, it's a chess match at 200 plus miles an hour. Not only do you have to operate these vehicles and make sure that it stays off the wall, but you know, you've got to change all of the in-car adjustments, of which you've got the anti-roll bar and the weight jacker. And then, of course, you've got to make sure that you choose the right pit strategy. You wouldn't want to leave yourself in a sit and duck position where on the last lap, 10 cars can go and freight train right by you. But nevertheless, as it stands right now, take a look at this running order. And you see David Strid has climbed 14 spots as now we get Dominic Hart down onto pit lane, as well as Manuel Gomez. Esteban, are you kidding me? He's back on the lead lap, as is Iñigo Mardones is back on the lead lap. So a lot of these drivers going to be able to challenge for positions that we just did not even think was possible. Dan Ensch, the fuel-saving master, onto pit road, and most likely that's just to get fresh tires indeed, not really trying to take on new fuel or anything like that. These drivers rush off pit road, and possibly we will have a run to the end. This is just our 5th caution of the day. Once again, thanks for joining us. I always say that, but as always, make sure you say hi over in the chat room if you're in our YouTube chat, or if you're embedding from around the internetoverse. Hope you're enjoying it wherever you're watching it from, Twitter or Discord, one of the places, Facebook, that we've been sharing it to. And once again, looking like we are set for about a 40-lap shootout to the end of this one. So it's all going to be positioning. Everybody will definitely have the fuel to make it. Everybody's taken the repairs that they need to. And unless there's another yellow flag, unfortunately, Rick Lovison, Rahman, Kelbaugh, Lowe, Bricky, West, and Murray all going to be laps down on this one. But Strid, Kennedy, and Livingston leading us back to the green flag. This is just a who's who of winners here in the US IndyCar League, as Strid and Kennedy, well, Strid's taking his share of victories and podium finishes. My goodness, these three opening up a huge gap. Back to 4th place, Will Stearns. Graham Bunyan, it must have been a poor start in fact, it says Stearns got by Bunyan on that start. So why don't we go ahead and back it up? Let's take a look at that green flag start. This was from the perspective of Stearns. What took place here? It looks like a little checkup from Rick Lovison. Indeed, waiting for Rick Lovison to get up to speed. Bunyan held up a little bit. Stearns kind of trapping him on the low side there. And Stearns managing to take advantage of the situation and get by Graham Bunyan for that position. That was just a moment ago. So Stearns now marching out to quite a lead over Bunyan, but we'll see how this pans out here. You certainly don't want to count Bunyan out. There's just no way that, we've seen enough of these. Ill-advised to bet against the man in blue back there for Graham Bunyan, but here's another pair. Actually, if I look at this triplet between Strid, Kennedy, and Livingston, I honestly don't know who to pick. And if I'm looking at who's in 4th and now climbing into this picture rapidly, here he is, folks. He's arrived on the scene. It's Will Stearns, who's now up into 4th spot, and he's looking for more. We also have notes. Iñigo Mardones passing Dominic Hart for 6th position. So Mardones making his march to the front. Now the question is Stearns or others, are they using up their tires too quickly to be able to hang on to it at the end? And will it matter? As you can see, Graham Bunyan there, he hasn't lost touch with the leaders. He's just kind of hovering back there. Will he have something to say about this one, as we've got just over 30 laps remaining in Las Vegas? So one of the stories of the day, definitely Will Stearns, qualifying in 12th, now up into 4th. One of his best performances here on broadcast. And as this group starts to kind of reform here at the front, we may have multiple drivers in contention for podium positions and or leads. And there you can see one of the drivers, Strid, deciding to pull down onto the pit lane and stop. What has happened to Strid? We don't know. Why is Strid now stopping? Did he feel like he wouldn't be able to make it to the end? No telling here, as Strid has now decided to take his final stop under green flag. He is indeed taking fuel at a very rapid rate, so definitely not sure. I can't imagine that was part of the plan. And certainly if these drivers were lacking fuel at all or thought they wouldn't be able to make it, you would have figured that they would have stopped on the last caution. But nevertheless, Strid, perhaps a calculation error. We won't be able to find out in post-race chat because Strid never comes and talks to us. But maybe we can get some information out of Graham Bunyan at the end of this one and find out exactly what happened there. But nevertheless, that's music to his ears potentially. James Kennedy, former race winner here in the league. And, you know, I can officially say it because they are a sponsor of iRacing. But Sparko, there on the side pod, I would love to know more about what brings Kennedy to enjoy the Sparko brand so much. Maybe he's got Sparko gloves or Sparko shoes or race seat, something like that. But would love to know more. In the meantime, whatever is working for him, it's keeping him out in front of a former winner here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the US IndyCar League, Howard Livingston, racing for Care Camps. You know we're going to have that Indy race at the end of the season and talk all about Care Camps, but of course, what a great organization, as they are now 3 wide just behind. For a moment, it's Iñigo Mardones coming forward in a hurry. He's up into 4th. Now looking to do battle. He's just gotten around Bunyan and now taking his sights to Will Stearns, who's moved up into 3rd with Strid having to take that pit stop. So Mardones now on the outside. And this battle starting to settle just a little bit. Nope, Mardones going for it again. On the outside of Stearns. Drivers racing around Las Vegas Motor Speedway and clicking off these remaining laps in a hurry. Just 23 to go. You're watching from way up in the grandstands. This is what it would look like if you were there at the track. And Stearns having a moment, lifting out of the throttle just a little bit to the point where it definitely affected the line of Iñigo Mardones. We watch these drivers from above. Here goes Mardones with a huge run on Will Stearns this time. And once again stalls out as he cannot get the help of the draft of the cars in front. Stearns playing this draft like a master and hanging on to that 3rd and final podium position. Well, I tell you what, we're green flag here. In your top 5, Kennedy, Livingston, Stearns side by side with Mardones, and Graham Bunyan currently running in 5th. Dominic Hart now just outside. Mauro Ramirez, Manuel Gomez Esteban up into 8th. Dan Ensch in 9th, and David Strid. Your top 10 at the moment. Strid a lap down. And finally, Mardones able to get by there on the high side. So Mardones, only 3 laps newer tires, but remember, Mardones and Stearns, part of that group that stopped later than Kennedy and Livingston and initially Strid. Strid has since made that pit stop, and there Mardones is up in the wall. Mardones in the wall in turn 4. Unfortunate turn of events. He had been racing so well. Necky Racing Team driver, unfortunately, now having a problem and coming to a rest there. Let's see if we can figure out exactly what took place. This was, or try to get this just a moment ago. And there, he's already up into the wall. Let's see if we can just back it up and see here live what's happening. Mardones looked to the high side. I think he just didn't clear Howard Livingston, and/or Livingston came up just a little bit. We'll watch one more time, this time from the roll bar, the roll hoop here. And you can see Mardones kind of weaving side to side. I think he maybe lost a little control there. He was trying to go out, trying to go in, maybe not sure of where Howard Livingston was going to go with his car. And it just caught him out. And that's exactly what we talk about every single week. I've even talked about it in this race, just how easy it is to get it wrong at over 200 miles an hour. Fortunately, no caution brought out. These racers still going at it here with just 16 to go. I tell you what, it's time, everybody. It's time to belly up to the betting table. Your game of choice right now, is it blackjack? Is it poker? Who's got the best poker face at the table? Is it Kennedy, Livingston, Stearns, Bunyan, or Hart? Who is it going to be in Victory Circle tonight? Who's got the most chips? Who's got the best poker face? Trying to throw as many Vegas puns at it as I can. We're going to find out who's got the best ability to put it all on red. Is it Howard Livingston, who's currently riding in second place? He hasn't even seen the front today. He's not led any laps. Running around in second place for most of the race and positioning himself potentially for the win here. Not a surprise if he was able to do that. Will Stearns undoubtedly just trying to hang on there, as we see Kennedy dropping back to go into the pits. 13 laps to go. He must have known he wouldn't make it to the end. So fuel strategy now really costing these drivers who thought that they could stay out. Kennedy now having to pit for fuel. Howard Livingston taking over the lead, but that means that he may not be far behind. Now, he did save plenty of fuel, I'm sure, sitting in that second position. And he's been sitting back there waiting. Now is the time to find out, did he save 12 laps more fuel than anyone else? We're going to find out here in a very short stretch of time. Rick Lovison also into the pits taking more fuel. It's 5 drivers that you could throw a blanket over. Livingston, Stearns, Bunyan, Hart, and Ramirez. Just 11 laps remaining here in Vegas. Looking overhead, what was a secure thing for David Strid has now turned into an 8th place and a lap down. We just saw a couple of drivers who looked like they could win, and they've had to drop off. Here's Howard Livingston in. Here's Mauro Ramirez in. Will any of these drivers have enough fuel to make it to the end? Well, Stearns and Bunyan both stopped on lap 86. Hart, Ensch, and Manuel Gomez stopped on lap 88. So it's possible that these drivers do have enough to make it to the end now, but we will find out in the long run. As Stearns takes over the lead, we'll get that bonus point for leading here in Las Vegas, adding to that championship tally. I'll tell you what, Stearns races like this every week. You've got a new championship contender. Hopefully he can find the same juju next week. But I tell you what, it doesn't matter who you are at the front of this one. You got to look at the guy in second place, Bunyan, and unfortunately Bunyan would be seeing Stearns kind of blinking out a little bit. That's got to be frustrating. But definitely not the first time. Are these drivers fuel saving? I don't know what's happening now. They are at half throttle. We are not under caution. I think they may be in the middle of a mad fuel save. You watch them at half throttle. What kind of speeds are they doing? We've now got Manuel Gomez Esteban stopping for his final time. Oh, he's made contact. We didn't see that, but unfortunately taking him out of the top 5. Here's Hart and Bunyan and Stearns. Hart has now taken over the lead of this race as Stearns has had to drop back off of the lead. Hart well down in speed, 218 miles an hour. But look who it is in the background. It's Stearns coming back, and there's Dan Ensch, the fuel-saving master. Did he make the right call today? 6 laps remaining. Who will have the fuel to make it? Can the drivers at the front make it without saving more fuel excessively? Will it be Dan Ensch, the car with one of the most amounts of fuel? Dominic Hart also stopping on that same lap 88. It's not just when you stop, though. It's how much fuel you save over the stint. So this one coming down to a lot of fuel strategy here at the end. We've got 4 laps to go. It's just 4 laps remaining. Your leader, Howard Livingston, from a few laps ago, he won't repeat here in Las Vegas. It's going to be Hart, Bunyan, Stearns, or Ensch. Ensch up closer to the wall. He's looking around the outside of Stearns. I think just trying to take a nice wide line around the outside with Stearns blinking out a little bit. Doesn't want to get too close here. Just 3 laps remaining, though. Ensch moving up into that podium position, but this is your battle for the win. This was how it looked not long ago. Hart at Indianapolis at the end of season 13. He was a shock then as he came into the league in his debut and took the race win in dominant style there in Indianapolis. And Graham Bunyan will have that fresh on his mind as this driver here, Dominic Hart, I'm hearing a driver kind of spinning there, coming down to a rest on the backstretch. It won't be a problem for the rest of these drivers. Bunyan by now taking note of Hart and his speed in this league. And let's ride with Hart for a moment as he takes that white flag. It's the final lap. And there Bunyan goes by on the low side. Graham Bunyan getting by on the low side. I'm not sure. We'll take a look at that in a minute. I don't know what happened to Hart, but he drifted. And Bunyan taking advantage. Will it be Bunyan after all is said and done? And indeed it is. Graham Bunyan comes back from multiple setbacks in this race and manages to steal victory at the very end on the very last lap from Dominic Hart. Hart had put himself in position to take another victory, gaining 12 spots today, but he could not hold off the hard charger in Graham Bunyan. We'll take another look at that path for victory here just a moment. Dan Ensch, boy, what a convincing performance and a day to be on the right fuel strategy, and today is one of those days for Dan Ensch for certain. Let's jump back just a moment ago. We're going to take a look at from the white flag onwards, what exactly happened between these drivers. This on board with Graham Bunyan as they took the white flag. Bunyan looks low, now following the car steadily through the corner. From here, it didn't look to me like Bunyan had anything to make that pass. And here he came around. I'm not sure. Here we go. Now the white flag, and he makes his move to the bottom side. And I guess somehow Hart was just not prepared for that. I think it's important to take one more look at that pass for victory there. And we'll just try and line it up as best as we can. We'll look from perhaps the best place to look is from the from that chopper cam that seems to show us pretty much everything right overhead. Now, what exactly was Hart doing? He was kind of riding in the middle of the track, and I think Bunyan just kind of surprised him. I'm not sure. I know Hart did not just give him the position. I think Hart really thought that Bunyan was going to try the high side again, and Bunyan tried the low side. So it'll be great to hear from these drivers here in our post-race chat here just a moment. We'll be able to pull them into the US IndyCar League booth and get a chat with them. In the meantime, take a look here in just one moment at our final results. As you saw it, Graham Bunyan taking victory here in Las Vegas over Dominic Hart as the fans start to file out, and you guys wait for just a moment, and we'll get a chance to show you not only the overall results here, as you can see on your screen, but we'll get a chance to talk with our race victor here in our post-race chat here. So Graham Bunyan taking victory in Las Vegas. He put it all he certainly did show up and put it all on the line right there. He put all the chips out there on the final lap, and he went all in, and for sure Dominic Hart not able to match that bet. Graham Bunyan coming home with a small fortune in his pocket in terms of points, especially compared to where he started today's race and some of the misfortune. We'll talk to him a little bit more about that as we go through. But Dominic Hart kind of returning back to what we saw there with that flash of brilliance when he came in and won at the end of season 13. Now looking like not only does he know how to go fast, but he knows the right fuel strategies as well to put himself right there at the end. And certainly had a chance for that victory, but he'll take second. Always a good thing to get here in such a competitive league like the US IndyCar League. Dan Ensch, a hard-fought third. That fuel saving finally coming to fruition. You'll look forward to talking with him as well. Will Stearns, an awesome fourth place finish. I don't think we've seen him finish that high in the league in all of the races that we've covered. So great to see him recovering and out there and able to get in some great racing today and not having any of those little mistakes that catch him and others every single week that seem to keep them out of that top five or those podium positions. There's David Strid recovering for fifth. He had a late pit stop. I think he just wasn't going to make it on the fuel, and unfortunately he ended up needing to stop there at the very end, but he did manage to get fifth, and that will keep him in this championship, and he did manage to finish over his next closest competitor in Jason Lowe. James Kennedy, Howard Livingston, and Mauro Ramirez, as well as Iñigo Mardones, all these drivers, even Manuel Gomez Esteban, all these drivers right up there in the top five today with a chance at it. Just different little things catching everybody out along the way, and not what they wanted for certain. You see the rest of the drivers as they finish there. So let's get a chance to talk with our podium here. And I see the ALZ.org Last Lap Motorsports driver of Dan Ensch in our booth. Hey, Dan, congratulations. You're up there on the podium again. It must feel pretty darn good. What a heck of a race. Talk us through it, bud. Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate you letting me know. So, hey, Graham, let us know how your race went, because it was a little crazy. I mean, you were at the front in the end, but you were at the back most of the race, and then you were at the front again, but then you got another incident, you were at the back. You won, and that's the main thing, Graham. Congratulations on another victory here in the US IndyCar League.
Yeah, look, man, it was just a fuel strategy race. It was crazy. There was just too many yellows, and it was like I wanted to go off suit to everybody else and just try and run a different fuel strategy. And then that last caution sort of threw caution into the wind, and I had to save and save and save. I've never saved so much fuel in my life. It's crazy.
So that was the key today. Then there at the end, you were actually 2 laps less fuel even than Hart and Ensch were, but you still managed to save so much fuel that you were able to make it to the end. Was that in fact what caught out David Strid? Was he just realized he and a couple of others realized they would not be able to make it to the end? Were you able to gain some information on that?
No, look, honestly, once the two leaders, I think it was, who was it, James and Howard, I thought I knew what was going to happen. Will was definitely going to slow down, and I thought if nobody gets in front of Will, we're going to get past. But it was crazy. I can't even think of I can't think of even what to say.
Well, you didn't lead. I don't think you led more than 1 or 2 laps previous to your race-winning move. So talk us through from that white flag, though. How did you decide to make that move? Was it intentional? Were you lining Dominic up for several laps with the old, I'm going to go outside, no, I'm going to go inside? Did he kind of fall asleep there sitting in the middle of the track? What happened from your perspective?
Yeah, so it was a matter of saving fuel, and with like 4 to go, I didn't think I had enough fuel to go. And with the 1 to go, I had more than enough to go, so I just put it back to fuel map 1 and went, which I think I caught him asleep. He was hanging out a little bit wide, and I thought, well, I've got the speed, I'm going to go down the inside. So it worked out, paid off.
And there we see that move right there on the screen, indeed. And by the time he got to the inside, there's really not much that he could do. That's kind of the favored place. We saw a couple of drivers able to make that move around the outside and take position, but just one of those races today, I think that you can comment on just about how strategy was all over the place with the yellow flags and where they came out. Just had to keep your head down and stay focused and keep pivoting your strategy, right?
It was, yeah. It had got to the point where it was too far gone. If I had pitted, I would have went right down back through the field, but I just had to persevere and just see what happened, whether a yellow would come out or whether I'd actually make it to the end.
Well, there you go. We did get that final long green flag stint, and obviously that played into some drivers' hands and some not so well. But Graham, you were ready. You knew the number you needed to make, and you made it. And you made it to not only to the right place, but you had just a little bit extra there at the end, and so you didn't have to just settle for second. You were able to take victory once again. So adding to that points total, adding to the wins column, and Graham, you did it here again in dominant fashion at the very end. Congratulations on another great race victory and continuing your march towards a 4th consecutive championship in the league.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. And again, thanks to everybody that comes in week out. And I know it must be frustrating seeing me up there all the time, but I don't know what to say. It's crazy. It's hard work. It is hard work.
Well, in every league out there, you look at somebody who's out there, doing very well and operating at the top of their level. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen over in Formula One, and in IndyCar, it's been Dixon. It's been Will Power at various times. And, in this league, it's a fixed league. Everybody's got the same tools. Everybody's got the same setup. There's no question about one guy has a better car than the other. And Graham, you're able to go out there every week, take those same tools and put it up there at the front. So they can be frustrated all they want, but you're one who's able to make it work. And that's where their frustration lies. They need to challenge themselves to get to that level and be able to get up there and get race wins from you. Congratulations, Graham. We'll see if somebody else can manage to do it next week. Dominic was close, but good luck with your real world work. We know that you work in the healthcare industry. It's very important with what's going on around the world right now. And so we do appreciate you as basically one of our frontline workers in this major pandemic that's been going on. So thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you very much. And I'm on a quick turnaround, I suppose. I only finished work about 3 hours ago, and I've got to get up in 2.5 hours to go to work again. So I'm going to run, go to sleep. Congrats to the podium. Well done, Dominic and Dan, and the top 5, Will and David. Well done. And thanks to Stick Quick, and thanks to yourself. And I am out. See you later. Out. Bye-bye.
Well, good night to our Australian race winner, Graham Bunyan. Congratulations on that victory. And good morning to the rest of the United States who are watching. But, of course, our second place finisher was Dominic Hart. who is not from the United States as well. He's halfway around the world. And we actually have him here in the chat room. So a great chance to talk with second place finisher Dominic Hart. Hey, Dominic, welcome to VirtualRacing.Network and the podium position. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, Trevor. Been meaning to get on here. Unfortunately, couldn't when I did that first win in my first race. But yeah, it's good to be here. And congrats, obviously, to Graham on the win and Dan on the third.
Well, and take us through this race for yourself. You know, I was looking at, I checked where everybody else is, you know, operating during the race. Now, of course, you didn't have a very good qualifying. You started all the way back 14th position. And so, you know, I'm watching, you're like mid-pack for a lot of the race. Were you just biding your time? Were you trying to figure out the strategy? Were you thinking this could be your race based on your pace? Talk us through how you managed to get up there at the front in the right fuel strategy at the end.
Yeah, I was on the back foot a bit from yesterday. I wasn't able to make the usual practice that we do on a Saturday. So I tried something different in qualifying, and that didn't work because I messed up my second lap. So I ended up a lot further back than what I thought I would be. I wasn't going to be anywhere near sort of top 3 anyway, but I thought I'd be further up. So yeah, it was just a matter of time. I could see that the setup, which David did a superb job on again, was keeping everybody fairly close together. So it was just a matter of time of just sitting and waiting, and it's very similar to how we do this in the fixed as well. It's just a waiting game on this track a lot of the time.
Indeed, a waiting game, and you know, there at the end though, you're faced with this potential green flag stint, and so you're watching. You know, are you getting your fuel numbers? Are you like watching a software? Do you have somebody that you work with that gives you that? Were you just manually keeping track? You know, are you watching those fuel numbers and saying, well, I can make it, but some of these other guys can't? Are you saying, well, if I get a yellow, I'll be able to make it. If I don't get a yellow, I may not be able to make it. How close was it for you there at the end?
Yeah, it was pretty close. I mean, I came in deliberately. I put myself at the back of the guys on the lead lap, just so I knew I could have enough to get me to the end without having to. I was fuel saving the whole way. I was up on fuel map 5, so I was half throttle a lot of the time as well. So I was saving a lot of fuel, but I knew the front two, as Graham said, the front two that were out there needed to stop because they came in a lot earlier. So it was just a matter of waiting. Then it almost got a bit. I almost ran into the back of Graham at one point because him and Will slowed down so much. I actually was off the throttle nearly all the way going down the back straight. So that's when I jumped to the front because I thought, oh, we're going to get swamped by the guys behind us. I knew I could see Dan was coming up quite quick as well. And then I just, as Graham said, he was right. I did fall asleep on that last lap. By the time I realised he jumped to the inside, it was too late. If I'd have tried to cover at that stage, I would have probably wrecked us both, and I'm not going to do that. I'd rather take the second than do that.
Indeed. And a second place is not too bad. It'll certainly add to that points total. Not as much as first, but pretty darn close. And you certainly got bonus points for leading laps as well. But nevertheless, to come back here, you're at the top of your form. We saw you take that victory at the end of season 13, and looks like Graham has definitely a new name to keep on his radar as somebody who can potentially take race wins from him, and might be a series challenger here coming up very, very soon. Congratulations, Dominic. Great fuel strategy run. Maybe there at the end, you didn't quite have enough fuel to hold off that challenge. But nevertheless, I think we're looking forward to many more exciting races with you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, just need to, as long as I can keep my consistency going, because I think what's been letting me down. I think I could be all right. Just it's good to be in this league. It's my first season here, and hopefully it can go further upwards.
Well, one more step up the podium is something you've already done, but we'll see if it can happen next time. Congratulations, Dominic, and good luck with the rest of the season, bud.
Thank you very much.
So that is Dominic Hart there joining us with that second place finish, and what a fantastic run for him here, gaining 12 spots from where he managed to qualify today. But I tell you what, another driver that we're going to get a chance to talk with, our third place finisher here. You didn't hear him at the very beginning because I had the mics muted, but he was here for just a second. It is Dan Ensch, who came in third. We knew we were going to get him up there on the podium pretty soon, and getting that ALZ.org Glass Lap Motorsports machine up there on the podium always feels good, doesn't it, Dan?
Oh, it feels great. Everything went, almost everything went according to plan there today, and I felt good and competitive all day long. Really had a decent chance at the end there. Got just a little bit unlucky. The last stint was going perfectly. I figured if I just stayed at the back of the pack, fuel map 5, and just saved all the fuel I could, I would have enough fuel at the end to really blow on the last 3 laps. And I would have, but so many people pitted between me and the leaders that it created open gaps that I had to go down to fuel map 1 to catch up with. And that burned up just enough fuel to where I could only go full speed the last 2 laps. And you saw the difference there. I was catching them, but if I'd had one more lap of fuel the way I planned, I think I could have got them today. But it was a lot of fun. Good race.
Absolutely. And great to hear from your perspective that it was so much fun and a great race. I know here it can seem, especially if it does really long green flag runs, it can seem like it's just a waiting game out there and waiting for people to run out of fuel or waiting for the very end to come. But it did look like with the yellow flags, different strategies all over the place. You had a few different drivers who just weren't going to make it. They had to pit out of the lead. But not a surprise to see you, Dan, on the right fuel strategy call with the most fuel in the tank there at the end. As you said, though, tell me about that a little bit. So you saved the fuel a little bit. You're there in third place at the end. You want to give it more, but it's just that close. And as we saw Graham Bunyan, he had just a tiny bit more fuel saved and was able to throw it into fuel map 1, catch Dominic Hart. How close was it for you? Were you going to potentially run out there on the final lap? Or is it one that you can think of like, gosh, if I could have just given myself another half a lap of fuel, I could have gone up there and challenged him.
And that's exactly it. Like I said, there was gaps created when people pitted in front of me that I had to make up for, and that burned up just a little bit too much fuel. And I did time it right as far as when to hit the go button and mash the pedal down. I got every drop of fuel I could out of that tank. I had to wait too long to hit the go button, and I ended up with about a 1/10 of a gallon of gas. It was about all I had left.
Almost on fumes. Lucky that you got it back to the pits after that one. Otherwise, you guys have to come out and push it, and they don't like that, Dan. Yeah. But I know those guys over at Last Lap Motorsports. They don't want to get out and push. But anyway, hey, Dan, congratulations. Great to get ALZ.org up there, and you can see under a second was the finishing distance from you to race winner Graham Bunyan. I think it's the first of many that we're going to see. You've had so many bad luck incidents that have caught you out of getting up there. You were always in position to get a top 5 or top 3, possibly even a victory out of one of these things, but just those little unlucky things. Today, a little bit more lucky in Vegas. Congratulations on third. And again, I think another solid march towards your championship this season.
Yeah, one of these days the dominoes will fall just right for me, but we're doing pretty good in the standings. Dominic leapfrogged me, but then again, I leapfrogged Howard, so I'm still in 5th and looking to be in good position for a nice finish. And everybody's racing for 3rd at this point anyway, with Graham and Strid up there. So we're going to do the best we can and have some fun.
And have fun with it. And that's the great part, because next week you've got a very interesting challenge on your hands as we leave Las Vegas and these pretty much flat out D-shaped ovals. We head to a very different track where it's going to be very challenging. Darlington.
Yeah, no, that's not fun. That is suicidal. Okay. Big difference there.
Well, you got to make it through 190 miles somehow, Dan. So anybody who wants to see what Dan Ensch calls a suicidal race to enter, That's going to be fun. Tune in next week. Make sure you subscribe to VirtualRacing.Network, and you'll get notified of that. And in the meantime, you'll get a chance to check out Dan Ensch, the ALZ.org machine in that beautiful sparkling purple machine again next week there at Darlington. And then we have 6 more on tap for you for the end of the season. We've got Texas, another D-Shaper, Daytona, which should be wide open, Richmond, a short track, Gateway races like a short track. It's maybe a little bit longer than a short track. California, going to be another wide open, really similar to Michigan. And obviously our final one there at Indy will be a special one for the Care Cam. Stan, congratulations, third. We'll look forward to seeing the rest of the season, bud.
Thanks a lot, Trevor. We love the job you're doing. Thank you to Stick Quick for sponsoring. Thanks to ALZ.org for riding with me this year, and Last Lap Motorsports. And I'm going to call it right now. Richmond is mine.
He says it, folks. Richmond's his, and I believe him. It's almost too bad that he can't run the Last Lap Motorsports setup, which has been officially known as the GOAT, the greatest of all time, because this is not an open setup series, but we all know how to run that track awesome, and Dan is a great master of Richmond. So stay tuned next week. He's calling it, or not next week, but next week, Darlington, and then in a few races, Richmond. So this has been a production of VirtualRacing.Network and the US IndyCar League. If you'd like to join the US IndyCar League as a driver, just click through the link down in the description. You can head on over there to the iRacing League page and apply. There are some basic requirements in terms of your license and or safety rating, but they'll get you into a practice session and get you all acquainted and set up with the league instantly. There's no cost to join. Just want to make sure that you're going to be a clean racer like we have seen here today. In addition, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you're not already, about 95% of the viewers coming in through IndyCar channels are not subscribed. So make sure you subscribe and like this video for more. And in addition, we'll be adding more coverage here to the network in due time. So stay tuned for that announcement. On behalf of everybody here at the US IndyCar League, all the competitors and the rest of the sponsors. Yes.
I forgot. I almost forgot. I wanted to thank Tunnel to Towers, too. And I do belong to that, and I do donate to them, and I hope everybody else does, too.
Indeed. And they're from Dan Ensch, as well as I was just about to put in our final plug, as we've done several times today. But Tunnel to Towers, we do want to thank, of course, Richard Kelbaugh for bringing this forward to our attention. We hope everybody learned a little bit more about them today. Head over to t2t.org. and make your contribution today or get involved. So we'll see you guys next week, guys, ladies, and everyone else next week from around the world right here on YouTube channel for VirtualRacing.Network. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Until then, bye-bye.